imagine a scenario where your child is playing football in a football tournament. Home team just made a comeback. They're sprinting down a game plan. Bobby is just about to score when, all of a sudden, Bobby's mom appears on the field, wearing an apron stained with bits of food, spatula waving in the air and yells, "Bobby! What are you doing? Soccer? Again? Stop wasting your time, come home and do your homework." She then promptly storms off the field, dragging Bobby alongside. Now, with the lights, I sort of see some parents in the audience looking at me like, I would never do this to my kids. Are you nuts? So I ask you to recall, carefully. Still nothing? All right. Now, what if I slightly tweak the scenario and say that instead of football, Bobby was playing virtual football in a video game? Or in fact, any video game at all. What about now? There we go. Now I'm starting to see some suspicious smiles in the audience. And with that, I ask, why? Why video games? If the virtues of teamwork are present in football, why is it assumed that they are not in virtual football? Saying that video games are only capable of entertainment is kind of like saying a dictionary is only capable of paperweighting. Gaming holds essentially untapped potential. I'm going to talk about how games have transformed from plain old entertainment to a pathway allowing us to connect, inspire, and ultimately make a difference. So, how do video games allow us to connect? Even if it is commonly seen to be the opposite of connection. The typical view of video games is someone locking themselves in a dark room, playing for hours on end. But that is only a very narrow view on video games. In reality, video games help us keep a tight social fabric, as well as teach us how to deal with conflicts when in a team. Teamwork is the most important aspect of succeeding in multiplayer games. Video games encourage us to be friendly, to not fight fire with fire, to be optimistic even when facing defeat, and most importantly, to be able to step out of conflict and find order within chaos. Amongst many skills, that is being able to, let's say, marry multiple ideas or knowing where to walk in line. I play a game called League of Legends. When my team, for example, starts battle with the enemy team and a player takes a wrong step, we have to quickly analyze and come up with a plan B in only a matter of seconds. We have to decide what is our safest escape route. Who do we save first? Who do we protect afterwards? And who to run around screaming in circles, running the opposite direction, luring the enemy team away, and helping us regain order and control from a seemingly hopeless and chaotic situation. Studies show that because of these types of scenarios, gamers perform up to 20% better in terms of perceptive cognitive ability, flexibility, and versatility than non-gamers. With that, I would like to say that video games bring people together. They connect us with new people and keep us connected with peers in our social network that we will otherwise grow distant from. Games create social bonds. After we play a game with somebody, we feel like we know them better as a person. We show them gratitude, whether it is for being friendly, cooperative, being a good team player, or being an honorable opponent. Gratitude is key to weaving a tight social fabric. Research states that gratitude triggers the release of oxytocin, the trust chemical, in the bloodstream, which is very often followed by dopamine, the happy chemical. When dopamine floods into the brain, two things happen. First, it turns on all the learning centers of the brain, allowing you to easily absorb and adapt to information around you. And second, it makes you happy. This may only look like a small addition, but remember, looks can be deceiving. Studies have found that a brain at happy is 31% more effective than a brain at negative, neutral, or stressed. Doctors are faster at assigning the correct diagnosis. Salesmen are more effective at making sales. Students are more effective at work. So next time you feel stuck doing an assignment or any type of job-related work, try playing video games. And yeah, you heard me right, I'm being serious. Next time you feel stuck doing any form of work, try playing video games. Because of this, I like to say that video games inspire us to be inspired. When a player is stuck in a game, will he put down his controller and walk away? Very, very unlikely. But why? Let's take an old game, Gradius, for example. In 1986, when the programmer for Gradius, Kazuhisa Hashimoto, found the game very hard to play and test, he created a special code, what we now know as the Konami code, to make the game easier to play. After testing, the code was forgotten about, and when arcade goers went to play the game, they found it lived up to its anticipated difficulty level. But they didn't give up. They kept trying, persisting, knowing that they will one day, somehow, beat the game. As they kept trying, news reached them that there's a special code programmed in the game designed to make it easier to play. For a long time, gamers looked for this code to no avail. Until one fateful day, after hours of effortful testing, someone finally entered the correct Konami code and beat the game. So, on that note, why do we feel so motivated solving puzzles in video games, but sluggish when we try to solve, for example, advanced quadratic worksheets or analyze Romeo and Juliet? In video games, gamers experience a type of motivation called blissful productivity. Challenges and tasks in video games are challenging, yes, but the feedback and reward is immediate and important. That is key. We, as humans, are so much more effective when we are getting immediate feedback and reward, and that we know our efforts are for a greater purpose. Now, speaking of a greater purpose, I would like to take this a step further. What if I told you that the positive benefits of video games stretches all the way into the physical world? And no, sadly for a lot of us, sitting in front of a video game all day will not turn you into Mr. or Mrs. Universe. It will do the opposite. Like TED speaker Daphne Balaguer said, the effects of video games on the brain is very similar to the effects of wine on the health. Again, I'm not saying that sitting in front of video games all day long, day after day, will do you any good. Like wine, binge drinking is never good. But when consumed in reasonable doses, both video games and wine are scientifically proven to have positive effects on the consumer. For example, the common myth that video games reduce cognitive vision is actually the other way around. A research conducted took 30 grown men with normal to non-corrected vision and have them play action-packed first-person shooter games for 10 hours a week. What they found was that their cognitive vision got better in two ways. They are found to be able to make accurate observations and tell fine tones better than a normal person. But how video games make a difference does not stop there. Even in the work industry, video games are being utilized. Imagine, if in your next job interview, everything goes normal at first, your employer asks you a few questions and a few interesting ones too, and then puts a video game in front of you and asks you to play a few rounds. One of the games already being utilized for this is Wasabi Waiter, a game developed by NAC. Now, NAC is a game developer that utilizes video games as a personality screening device for potential applicants. In Wasabi Waiter, you read the facial expressions of customers in a sushi restaurant, and you serve them the according labeled dish. Despite such a simple concept, Wasabi Waiter boasts the ability to analyze over 40 traits and characteristics. Such traits include conscientiousness, agility, being organized, free-spirited, and many more. What's interesting about this is that, according to a study by the Stanford University, positive traits experienced or repetitively experienced in video games transfer on to real life, and positive traits in real life transfer onto video games. This means that an applicant's personality test results from, let's say, Wasabi Waiter could be a very important reference point for employers trying to decide whom to hire. Regardless if it's just starting to be utilized, video games are already becoming an expanding pathway for change. And it is not deciding to slow down anytime soon. This is my first year in high school, and I'm already hearing a lot about college applications. It has become a focal point for discussion for both peers and parents. We hear a lot about your transcripts, your essay, your teacher recommendations, and the standardized tests, which are supposed to show a college who you really are. Maybe, in the future, video games could become a pathway to college admissions because of how much it brings to the table. With all these resources, the possibilities are endless. We can achieve so much more with video games than what we can imagine. What if standardized tests like the SATs or the ACT add a section called gaming? What if, instead of an essay question, you were given selected games to play? Who knows? But there is one thing we know for sure. If we utilize video games to their maximum potential, from it will not only sprout a myriad of new and crazy possibilities, but also provide powerful pathways for change. Thank you.